Welcome to day 2 of the February faces. I hope you enjoyed Wednesday's painting. If you're having trouble with the way I'm doing the traceables, then let me know and I'll try and figure out something else. Maybe I have to create a Facebook page or that we can, gather at or whatever. I don't know. But I tried it myself and it works good. So today we're going to work in our sketchbooks for this next painting and using some stencils. It's a ton of fun. So let's go create. All right. Welcome back to the studio. And this painting, we're going to be working in our sketchbooks. I just thought it would be something different and show you how I work in my sketchbook with watercolor. And we're going to be using some stencils. You can use stencils with watercolors. I think I end up using more stamps than stencils, but I do use both in this. I'm just wetting the area around the main subject, putting in a little bit of a light sky. I believe it does become darker later on, but just kind of going in with mostly water on the brush with a little bit of a blue color. That's sky blue from my winter watercolor palette. This is definitely not a winter painting, but I believe I do use most of those colors on that palette. The brush I'm using is, let me take a look. I think that's the mop brush that I had found. It is, because it's a lot softer bristles. They look kind of like my inexpensive brushes that come in a bunch of watercolor sets that you can just buy. You've seen them at Hobby Lobby or Walmart or wherever you can buy some basic craft supplies. They have those watercolor kits. And they generally come with I'm sorry, I had to turn down the volume on my TV. I like to come up here in the studio and create, but I also like to watch YouTube with other creators. I also do like watching gardening channels when I create. What do you guys watch? I'm not much of a music person. I will provide the list of materials that I use in this and the traceable in the description. I did that last video. I haven't heard of anybody having any issues with that link, but let me know if that's not working. I'll try to find out another way to get a traceable for you guys to use if you're not comfortable just making marks in your sketchbook. Oh, these are the stencils. That one that was already open, that's an old one that I use. It has dots in sort of a wood grain, but these this was a package I had just bought at Joann Fabric. They are the Jim Holtz collection. They come with a stencil that has 2 different stencils on the page, and then a bunch of stamps that go along with it. And these ones had butterflies, which were perfect. They're so cute. we use the butterflies a lot. I did use the flower print. You'll see later on. So these are stamps with my older set that has flowers as stamps. And I was just choosing a couple that the flowers branched quite a bit, so that they maybe looked like tree limbs. So I was trying to be a little creative in that way. That's Payne's Gray. The trick in using your stamps or your stencils, I found, is that you don't want to water down the paint. You use it straight out of the tube on a dry brush. And I just did a little bit of paint on my brush and painted it on. You don't need much because the paint right out of the tube is a very strong pigment. And there you can see I'm just painting it on. You could probably use some other tool that you may have, but I had paintbrushes handy and it worked just fine. You see how those were flower stencils, but they do look like tree branches. So I went in with a different stamp for a different mark. You certainly could, if you didn't have stamps, paint these marks in with watercolor paint or acrylic paint or whatever, but I just wanted to play around with stamps that I had, stencils that I had, and see what I could do with them. Oh, painting in the individuals. You know, she had this is very Chinese feeling. So she had on a silk robe that had a lot of lace, and it was a light blue color. If I didn't mention it, I was using a reference photo of a woman in a parasol. It was just my inspiration. I did not paint the photo exact. But I did like these variation in blues, and then I thought, well, these blues feel cherry blossom like. There was no cherry blossoms in that original photo, so I did that. But I thought, well, how am I going to incorporate that in the photo? That's when I went in with the stamps there and created that tree. I do eventually go in with the dot stencil and with some pinks and create some cherry blossoms. The sketchbook I'm using is a very inexpensive one. It's a Master's Touch. I believe it's like $6.99. I'm not sure where it went. You can get it at Hobby Lobby. Very inexpensive. The paper isn't great. It's a mixed media. It works. I'm not really worried about my sketchbooks being realistic and perfect. These are references. I will go in and use this photo later on in other pieces of my creating. They were $8.99 a couple years ago. I've had this since 2023, so I'm not sure what their price is now, but I'm sure it's not that much more expensive. They're pretty cheap as far as sketchbooks go. And I think that their paper quality is okay. I just opened up the sketchbook to that page so I can actually reference it as I talk, because I can't see the screen that well with the recording square over it. It covers most of the image. I guess we're still working on the robe. And I got variation in color. I was using the same color the whole time on that robe, but if I wanted it lighter, I would water it down. If I wanted it darker, I would use less water. So that created enough of the variant in color and shading that I needed. This is very spring, very spring-like. Was not what I was intending at all, but it was so fun to do in this dreary winter months to have some color. I think the next time I do this, I'm going to make it even more abstract. I've been finding that I'm not enjoying working and getting like photorealistic. Not that I ever was like super photorealistic, but I definitely am working more and more abstractly, and I don't want to go fully abstract in that you can't tell what I'm painting. You know, I still want to make reference to humans or trees or whatever, but I do like the painting more intuitively and see what happens approach. This color is so pretty. It's a ocean. These are Master Touch watercolor paints. I really enjoy working with them. I think that they're really good for the price that they are. You know, they're not a Daniel Smith quality or schminky or whatever, but I think that, you know, I always say that you just use what you can afford at the time. I don't want people to feel like they have to have the best. I had some videos in the past that I was using my kids' cheap Crayola watercolors and color pencils. So, would that be quality to sell? Probably not, but it still is fun to create. That's the whole point, to get paint on paper. I'm just painting in the parasol with this turquoise color. woke up to a bunch of snow this morning. I ended up having to shovel the stairs so that the dog could go out to the bathroom. The studio dog does not like snow. I don't blame him. So this is really nice. Snowing outside and painting a nice colorful painting. Now we're going in with my stencils and just use something that's round-ish. These aren't perfectly round because flowers are not perfectly round. And again, I'm making sure that the paint... Oh, I don't think that this one was fresh out of the tube. I think I ended up... That had sat long enough. These paints from Master's Touch actually reconstitute really nice. But I didn't have a lot of water either. So just make sure that you have a fairly dry There you go. They look flower-like. And I do have some that seem to like meld together, but that's, you know, looks like a bunch of flowers together. They don't have to be individual circles, is my whole point. They're not like that out in nature anyway. It was so fun to just get in here into the studio and play. Just play. Let's see. I think this is where I was. Yep, I'm pointing out the flowers. So this is where I did find I had a little bit of trouble. Not that I think that this technique is troublesome. It's troublesome in the sketchbook in that the other stamps came out and stencils came out how I expected because it was flatter on the out towards the outside of the book, but this is closer to the gutter. See, I'm saying, oh, I'm like, well, I gotta make it maybe flatter. So it was kind of bumped up. The book bumps up a little, so it wasn't flat enough. But after looking at it, I didn't mind that you can't tell that they're flowers. They're just marks. So if I was on a piece of paper, it would have turned out, the quality of the stamp would have turned out like the other stamps. But this is okay too. I'm trying to get it to lay flat. The color I was using was, I think in the set it's a milky white. Yep. So it's a bit of a creamy color. Yeah, and this is where I said, to heck with that stencil. I'm going to go back in with some stamps. these were a little bit more successful in that you could see them a little bit better. But again, it wasn't that the stamps weren't or stencils weren't working. It was just that that middle of the book was just not laying flat, so I couldn't get a good mark on the page. If you're doing this, and I would suggest to do it on flat paper if you're really concerned about that you want a good mark. But this is just in my sketchbook, so it doesn't bother me. And plus I like abstract. I think I went in with a bit of an ochre color because the milky white was almost the same value as the parasol, so you couldn't see them well. So I thought, well, maybe a good ochre color that looks nice against that teal, because they're complementary colors. Using the basic portrait skin tone color that we talked about in the last video, just the a good red and a good yellow, making a nice peachy color. I did water it down quite a bit to make it quite light. Putting in her hair. I don't think I showed this in the video, but on the side of her hair, she has like you can't see it very well, but it's kind of out of focus in the photo, like maybe a flower or something in her hair. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, but I did end up taking one of the smaller butterfly stamps and using a really dark blue. I think it was a cerulean blue, and stamped a small butterfly in the side there. It looks really nice. Using that skin tone mixture and putting in her hands. I really hope that you are enjoying this portrait series. Let me know in the comments, but stay messy, playful, and wild, and I'll see you next time in the studio.